Most pedal boards don't have this, and they really should. Today I'm talking about parallel processors, and this video is specifically covering the new Stereo Klein Bottle by VFE Effects. A lot of what I'm talking about through this video is applicable to most loopers, if not all, and there are a couple key unique features that I'm also highlighting about the Stereo Klein Bottle. So to start off, let's just start with all the knobs down. I like to have all switches down and the bottom ones set to post. That's just for the EQ. Actually, there's 3 loops that are stereo. You can also do any of this in mono. I have loop 1, which is these two, loop 2, which is just a flancher, and loop 3, dark star with some saturation beforehand. 1, 2, 3, red, yellow, blue. I thought the primary colors, red, yellow, blue. Let's start off with the basic example. Let's just go through loop 1, which is mood mark 2 and the gen loss right here, and send a drum pad through it. So to get any signal to come into a loop, that's set by the pre-knob. That's setting the signal that's received at the front of Klein Bottle, how much you're sending through the loop. How much to hear out after the fact, that same signal is sent through the effects in the loop, is set by the mix knob. And we could hear how gen loss would affect this loop. Now if we want to compare that to a reverberated sound, we could use loop 3. Same way. Turn it on, won't hear anything till you send signal through it and through the loop, and then send that signal through the end of the chain of Klein Bottle. These bottom ones again are just filters, which is really nice to have the option to do in post. Reverberated through loop 3 or through gen loss on loop 1. Or you could blend in both of those affected signals in parallel. Because it's in parallel, the filter won't be affecting this signal. But if we had, what's cool about this pedal though, is you could put the signal in series 2 by using the loops. So we could actually show you what that would have sounded like if the drum loop from the Casio was sent into the reverb through Darkstar and then gen loss as if it were a normal pedal board just in series. That would be like so.
I'll show you how to swap pedal order with the loops knobs in a second. It's one of my favorite uses of the Stereo Klein Bottle. But first, how do the loops knobs work? I'm going to explain that as well as why I color-coded them this way.
All 6 for each loop being the same color, so all the loop 1 was silver, gold for 2, black for 3. But it helped me a lot to have these loop knobs, which is essentially whatever signal is being sent to this loop through it. It is enabled to be also sent just like a send on like whatever DAW, like Logic Pro or Pro Tools that you may be using. It's sending that signal as if to another bus or loop, in this case, loop 2 or 3. So I color-coded the loops to be very easily distinguished by their hue where it's being sent to. So this loop 1 is being sent to loop 2 from the gold knob, and then loop 3 with the black knobs. Dry loop through Darkstar, and then to send that through gen loss, turn down the mix, turn down the loop. This is how much of this loop signal being sent to this loop. Then you would have to turn on the loop, and you don't need the pre in this case, but just the mix. So this is the Darkstar signal going through gen loss. Filter now affects it, which you could hear the difference between that and this drum loop in parallel through these 2 effects. Just gen loss, blending in the parallel signal of Darkstar. Now the filter doesn't affect the Darkstar because it's parallel to it, whereas if it's in series, then it does. everything's filtered out because this is at the end of that two pedal chain. Whereas if it's not, if it's in parallel to this effect, when this filter's really cut high, you're still going to hear the same amount of signal being sent through the reverb. Pretty cool, huh? And this whole parallel processing is so good with bass. If you want a saturated bass tone, you're sacrificing the low end unless you use parallel processing. So you could have an awesome saturated bass tone, but that's going to inherently lose the low end through the process of clipping the bass waveform. But you can blend in some of that thump and low end by using parallel processing. So I'll show what that sounds like. Just the bass by itself with fuzz. But then add in the dry, and it brings the saturation that you like with the girth and thickness of the original signal. No dry. It's just better. And you could hear it a lot more in a mix, because any guitars and high-end stuff, that space at the high mids is already taken with guitars and vocals and other aspects of instruments. So when you lose that girth from the dry bass signal, it is especially noticeable within the context of the mix. So always parallel process your bass if you're saturating it. Okay, and then I'm gonna send that Dark Star pad into mood.
Thanks to VFE Pedals for sending me the Stereo Klein Bottle and sponsoring today's video. I hope that this demonstration helped those interested in this effect, because I know it can be a little bit confusing. Parallel loops, guitarists especially, they don't think in that way. They just think in series, but if you can come to understand the uses that these loops have, you could get a lot out of it, especially with all the upgrades that Peter's put into this stereo version. I've played the mono Klein Bottle for over a year, and I gotta say, all the upgrades and implementations that I would have wanted in that device has been included. Soft switches, the EQ in post with this switch, and most of all, the fact that it's stereo. Being able to feed different stereo effects into each other, like a loop from Mood Mark II with its stereo panning, and send that back into Dark Star with its left and right independent control for pitch of the reverbs, and hearing how that interacts with all the loops, it's just really cool. If you like this video, got any value out of it, please subscribe to my channel. I love talking about pedals, devices, and all that type of stuff, so you'll probably like other videos on my channel like this one.